All right. Welcome to Vikas web channel. And as you saw in the title and thumbnail, this is a video again about React router. So this time we will be dealing more about passing params and dealing with params. So in case we usually have, let's say, a list of users which we will be showing in this users route, as well as we will have each individual user with user ID, and then we will be also adding user with this new route. So this is what we will be dealing today. Also we will be passing some props through React route. If you don't know which project I'm talking about, so this is a continuation video from my earlier videos. I have already done two videos in React routing. One was the basic setup with router version 6, and then the second was using private and protected route or public route. So today I will be using this JSON placeholder, and from here I will be using users. So with users, when we make a fetch request or access request, we will get all the users. At the moment there are 10 users from this, and it's pretty good to test your API calling and everything when you don't have your own backend. Then it says we can do basically post, patch, everything. So let's try, let's set it up. All right, so for that, the first thing we want to do is we want to create our users route. Let's go here, and inside our components, I have everything inside components. Also, I have already discussed this in my previous videos. Usually in a bigger project, I always make a separate folder for each component where I will have the style and as well as the tsx file. And also, as you can see, I'm doing with TypeScript. So feel free to enjoy the TypeScript version of this React routing. All right, so too much of talking, let's start. Here we go, and I will create users tsx, and all it does is creates user, and I will do like always, change it to arrow function. There can be shortcut script, but I don't know which one it is, and I am okay with it. So here we will be rendering all users, and that's it. Then also let's go and let's copy this, and then here we can have a single user. Okay, so also let's go here and let's have single user. Okay, I don't think all single user makes sense, but this is all. And then let's go and create another component, and that will be new user. Okay, well, additionally we can have a modal dialog that when you click new user, we will have a pop-up modal, and then there we will add user. But I'm just talking about React router still, so I decided why not to have it. Okay, so this is all of our component for now, and let's go and let's do new user. That's it. With that, let's go to our routes. Okay, and then also we will be using this inside our protected routes, and as you can see, all this indentation inside, these are all inside our protected route, whereas our login is inside public routes. Again, I'm saying you the same thing again and again, that if you are confused, please go back and watch my previous videos about public and protected routes. So let's go here inside our inner contents, because everything inside our dashboard are inside inner contents. So here somewhere we will, okay, so this is all dashboard, and this is setting. So I will do after this here where we have our settings, I will go here, and what I will do is actually to make it easier, let's just go here and let's do it 3 times. And with that, let's also go here and import our users from components, and that will be user, and then we'll have Yes, I know that. And we have, was it single user? And then we have our new user. All right. So, and here all we need to do is in the settings, let's go and have users here, and let's go here and have single user here, and then let's go here and have new user. Okay, and with our users, what we want is we want this route to be users, whereas we want this routes to be user and user ID. So with this, we can pass the params of each single user. And if you don't know from where I'm taking this example, you can see here we have teams, and inside team we have nested route. So we will do that nested routing, but before that I'm just going to do like that, and then here also we have users and we will have new. Okay, so we have users now, and we have user ID and user new. Additionally, there is also a way that we can actually wrap this here and then make this open one, and then just have users, basically the same way how we are having our tabs or everything nested route. And there are different use cases for that. If we do that, we have to go in our users like component, and then we have to put outlet there. But the problem with that is, for example, in this example case, you can see that there is this, and then all the team ID and new, they are inside as children or nested route. If you do that, the problem is whatever you have in teams will be also visible. So it's up to your design architecture. Do you want that? For example, when we do our tabs, we are in tabs page, and then all of these are internal route. So we can do basically the same approach: single user, new user. We can do like that, but I don't want that in our case. I want when I put users, I will see all the users, whereas when I'm going with new, I will see, okay, single user, new user. The reason for that is, you see, with our, oh, okay, we don't have our new user. That's interesting. Let's go here, and then, okay, we already have it, but it's just with a wrong path. So let's do, so now it should show us new user. So that's what we want. So we want our new user form here, and then if you do something else than new, for example, anything, and then it will show our single user. And in previous version of router, if we had this kind of case, we would be, for example, putting the new on the top, because router used to check, and basically if you see, they both have almost similar pattern. However, now we don't need to use exact, we don't need to use anything, because this router version 6 is pretty smart. So even if we put it here, and technically user/new is same as this, but still it will try to find if there is exact match itself. Okay, so with that, our router setup is done. So the next thing is we have to go to our let's go ahead and let's have users here. Okay, so for that we can go to our sidebar here, and then basically I can just do the same thing here, and then I can have users here and also users here. And but when it comes to, let's use tabs version, and I will tell you why I'm doing that. If that includes users, because we want that even when we are with single users or new users, we still want this to be active. So that's why if we do this kind of check, then only when it is exactly users route, it will be active. But if it is something else than user, for example user/something, then it will not be active. So here we will have all the list of our users from here. Okay, so we can make with this. Let's go and let's copy. I will not use Axios because we don't need that. So what we can do here, for example, is users, and then set users. That will come from our use state, and initially we have empty array, and then we will have our use effect here, react okay, and it will activate every time we load the page. So now let's fetch users from JSON placeholder. So do like that. Okay, so we are not fetching that, we are actually fetching users, and then when we have users we are taking that response. Additionally, we can also do async await from here, but this does the job for us. So this all comes in promise, and then we have JSON, and let's save this here. Instead of console logging, we have set users, and we can put the JSON there. All right, so now instead of all users, let's give it a class name of users. So we have all users here, and then let's create a div that will be so we can have a list or card or whatever of users, and here we can do that. If we have users, then we will render users card, and we can use ID, name, and all those. So users.map, and we will have user. At the moment we can do any. Additionally, to make the proper use of TypeScript, we can also do something like this. Type user type, we have ID string. Do I have? No, we have ID number, we have name string, email string, and then phone also string, and then website also string. We don't want address. Of course, if we want address, we can also do address, and then have something called address type, and then just like this we can have inside address all these as strings and so on. Or additionally, we can just leave address as an object. That's fine. After we have these user types, we can also make users type, and that will be our array of type user type. We don't need this. And then here what we can do is we can give okay, so we have our user types. Okay, so with this, when we go here, we don't have to give users any. Now if I do user dot, you can see it knows that we have all these components. And if we add something more, for example, there was company, and if we add company and we can also give company object, then you will see that now it will have also company. So that's why using TypeScript is really a good idea. So we have that, and we have user, but we don't want it here. So we want to render something, and that is we want to have a div. Additionally, we can have a separate component, but we don't need that. And here let's give users card. Okay, so inside this div we can have, so this is our single user card, and here we can have basically all p, and then name is user dot name, and then let's do it a couple of times. So this will be dot email dot phone, and then website. So that's all we need. And if we go here, as you can see, we have all the users and all of them have all these things. We will come with a little bit of styling later, although this is not about the styling, but still we'll try to make it look somehow okay. So the next thing what we can do is let's try to put span in front of these, and then let's not go here, and then close span like this. So here if we target all these span, we can give a class name of normal. Additionally, what we can do is we can make our name clickable. So for that, if you go to our sidebar, here we have imported link, and we have used something like this. So let's do the similar approach here. So let's go and let's import link. All we need is just link for now. And then for our name, we can also do it for all our card item, but let's not do that. Let's do link, and all link will require something, and that is where are we taking it to. And this, instead of 2, we can do like that, and then we can use a template string, and it will be definitely inside users. However, it will be inside user.id. We can also use user.name, but id is most probably the unique one, right? There can be multiple users with same name, but there can be only one user with id. So we have user id, and then let's put this and let's put it there so that our name will become clickable. So if we go here, as you can see, we have the name clickable. That's all right. So let's do a little bit of styling so that these will be separated. So what we need to do is we need our user's card. So let's go to our styles.css here and somewhere here. So margin top, we want 40 pixel, and then we want border solid, and we can give this color as border, and let's see. Okay, so we have something like that. And also let's give inner padding 20 pixel. So we have something like that. Okay, we have some problem in our sidebar. We'll not fix that because we will focus more into here, and then with our users card we have p element, and let's do margin bottom of 10 pixel, and that will give us this kind of approach. And I think this is all good for us now. So now let's go and see. If we click this user, you see we are in our single user and we are our ID 1. Now let's go to our single user, and then here we need to import few things from React Router DOM, and I think one is params, so use params. Okay, so now params is, and this is a hook. We can console log params, and that will be params. And since we have this, React will complain us asking that we need this dependency, because every time this changes we want this use effect to take place. So now if we go here and if we go to our console log, you see we have user ID 1, and that's our params. Okay, similarly if we go back to our users, if I click something, it will say user ID 2 because we have user ID 2. That's perfect. So, and why we have user ID object? It is because if you go to our routes here, we have used this as user ID. If we would do only ID, and if we go here, you can see it will take only ID. So whatever you have defined in this route, that will be the key for that object. So, and also as you can see, we are getting some sort of warning from React. So we have to go back to our users, and here we have to give key, and that key will be in our case user.id, because these are repetition of the same thing. So React wants to know and have unique value for each of those repetitions. It's super important that we do that. And if we go now to users, as you can see, that problem is gone and we can see our user. So now in our single user with this params value, we have our user. Okay, user ID. Okay, so the next thing let's have user and also set user. This will be from React use state, and additionally what we can do is we can export type from there, user type, because we want this, and then here we can import from that component users component, and that will be user type. So this here will be user type, and as you can see our user is object. So initially we can have, we don't even need empty object, we can have that. So now we initiated this user. Basically we will do the same thing like we have done here. Okay, so what we can do is here we will have set user, and instead of users like this, let's change this to template literal, and here, or we can even have a URL here. Okay, const single user API URL, and we can do so that we can copy this, and then here, actually no, we should not do that. Like here we should do it inside, because every time our params change, this value will change, and here we can have params dot, remember all our users are with user ID key, so we have user ID, and then here instead of this we can do single API user. Here what we can do is we can use the same thing like we have users card here. Well, additionally can do the same thing. Let's take it out. Actually we can copy exactly the same thing here, and what we can do is instead of this, if we have user, then we can do the same thing. We don't need link here, we don't need link here, and everything else stays as it is. If we go and do a little bit of formatting with prettier, okay, so we have something like this and we have a problem there. Well, we can solve that just by doing that, and then okay, and that will also means we will have to have this here. Let's go and okay, so that should be all fine here. As you can see, now we have only that user. So let's go back. Okay, if we click there, we have only that user. Let's go back, and if we click here, we'll have only that user. So if you see here, we have also address, and additionally we can do like also render address and everything here, because otherwise what's the use of clicking individual users when you have basically all the information, right? So, or we can do so that we can hide all other information here like this. We can have like this. Okay, so I think this is better because this makes more sense that you see the name, you click, you see the detail, right? So here we are passing like user ID as params, which we have in our React router here, user ID, and then based on that we are using hook and getting params, and then with this our JSON placeholder. So here if I go here and do 1, you can get for only one user, and then if you do it 2, you get with user ID only 2. So that's what we are doing here. We are getting single users. Additionally, what we can also do is when we are fetching all our users, we can save these users in our state. That's even better way, because that way you don't have to call your single user API again and again, because anyway you will have all the information of all the users here. You can save it somewhere in your state, and your state is persistent, maybe in local storage or somewhere, and from there you take it, and only when something changes in your users, then only you also change it and React will re-render. But in our case we don't have that state management and everything going on, so for that reason we are doing so. Because if we do like that, now even if you refresh, we are still getting the value of these users even if we refresh. And not only that, if you go and do 4, you will get it for the 4. All right, so the last thing of this tutorial or this video is about adding a new user. Okay, so also for a new user, what we want is, let's say in our users here, somewhere in the top, let's have link. Okay, and add a new user, and as you can see, this link expects something, and that is a path, right? So now we have a button in our users, and that to add a new user. what we can do is we can go to our styles here and wait a minute. So users h1. Okay, so we have add new user. If we click it, then we can go here. So in this case, in our new user here, we can have a class name called new user, and we can give it add a new user. We can have form here. Let's go. So we'll have name, email, phone, and website. Okay, so let's go here and name, email, phone, and website. All right, so here let's go and let's create input. So we can have something called new user form group. I'm kind of using BEM convention. So we will have label here, and that label will be name, and then we will have an input field. Type will be text, and placeholder will be John, for example. No, and I think that's all we want. So now if we go to add user, we go to new, we have John Doe. Also, what we want is we want some state, and that will be new user data, and that will be also set new user data, and that will also come from React state. And just like in single users, we can also take the type from here and then have user type. Okay. Well, we have this. Let's go here, and actually, since we are not using this, let's just remove those. So better that way. So we have ID, name, email, phone, website. All right. Are we even showing website somewhere here? Name, email, phone. Yeah. Okay. So here we need to have a function called handle change. That function will take e, and then we can console log it e. For now, let's make it any. Okay, so e dot targeted value, and then type is text. We need to give it name, so the name will be, in our case, name, and that's all about it. And the value will be new user data dot name. Okay, and here we need to actually define name empty, then phone empty, then email empty, and then website empty, and we need also ID empty. Okay, so all right, or actually let's keep it no. All right, so now we don't need to give this. So initially our name, phone, everything will be empty, and then this will do the change, and then handle was data, and it will take care of new user data. For now, let's just console log new user data. All right, so what I'm doing here is I have a state called new user data. That's basically the same as our user type. Initially we have 0. In real case scenario, what happens is we don't even pass ID there at all. Okay, so but we are using user data, so that's why I'm using ID here. So in our case, we'll just pass like some random number, but in real case we are only passing this, and then our backend server will automatically generate the ID and then save that in database, or even database generates automatically ID and saves that. Okay, so and then we have this handle change. We can additionally do handle name change, handle phone change, but that will be super tricky. So with this, what we can do is we can only save whatever the name is changed, and I will come that to later. And when we have all the data, we want to show new user data. Okay, so now let's go and let's copy this 4 times. So we have name here, then we have phone, then we have email, and then we have website. All right, and now let's change this name to phone. So phone, and this to email. All right, and then if everything is done, then we can also have the same. Let's copy this one more time, and here instead of input, let's have button, save data, and here all we need to do is on click what we have the name here, handle post data. Okay, so that's all about it, and we have this save user data. Let's just go here. Oh yeah, we want this, not that. All right, so not here. Okay, so margin top, let's do 10px, and let's do padding of 20px. And okay, that's too much. And then all right, I think this is all we need. And then padding itself, it's 10px. I guess this is all we need. And then new user from group, all right, so we have a simple looking form here. And now we have to go back to our new user here. And okay, so yeah, so let's do so that what we need to do is here we have to do on change, and here we can do I'm not so sure if we can do handle change. Well, let's try. If this doesn't work, then we can also pass e from there. Anyway, so now let's refresh. And if I'm doing something, as you can see, it's handling change, but it's not showing anything here, and that's okay because we are not updating anything. So now let's go. We need to first duplicate the array, I mean object. So let's say temp all is data, and let's have new user data. So that's basically whatever in the new user data, initially it will be empty, and as we update it, it will get everything from there. So the update will take place, and then what we need to do is here we have to update only the key. So that is new user data, and the key will be whatever the target name, and the value will be whatever the target value. Okay, so it is because of this. If we give this as any, that problem will go. And so now our temporary will have everything initially, and then whatever we update, and then finally we need to save that, and for that we can do it like this, and then we can have new user data. So now we don't need this. So this way, depending on which field we are talking about, phone, email, it will automatically use that key and then update that value for that key. And since it's all the time taking the new whatever the updated value there, so the state will be kind of persistent. So let's see. So now if I go here and type my name here, phone number is something, and email is email it's something.com, and website is bikasweb.com. Now if I save this data, we should be seeing this value, and obviously our ID will be 0 because we have hard-coded and we haven't changed that ID at all. So if you see here, now we have all this data. In the same time, if I do like this, and now if I save it, instead of because, it will add that, and as you can see. So now this is ready, and this is where we do the post request for API, which I will not be doing now. What we can do is here, instead of that, we can send an alert and data posted successfully. That's it. So now if we go to our application, we are in dashboard, we are in user, we can click each user to go, we can go back, and then we can do add new user, we can have all the data here, and if we do here, it says data posted successfully, and you can see the data here. There is one last thing I would like to, actually there are two things that I would like to show you. So the one thing is, okay, we are here, we click here, how to go back to users without clicking here. Go to our single users, we can just have link, right? And then somewhere here, okay, we can say link and go back, and here all we need to do is users. And let's copy the same thing, let's go to our new users, and under here there's two, and we need to import link from our React router DOM. Let's go here, let's do that. So now you can go back. If you click user, you can go back, click, you can go back, and that's good. So the last thing of this video will be passing props from the router. All right, so let's say we want to pass something in our users. Here let's say I want to pass extra item, and that will be test extra item from router. Since we are basically just using our component, if you know, instead of this we can even do hello world. And now if you go here, we can actually see hello world inside our users. So we can even do that. So the same thing what we can do in our JSX, we can do it. That means we will have this available. Obviously, in that case, you have to go here, and then here you can have props. For now, I will use any, but just like this type, you can also define the type. And then here, what I can do is I can do console log prop from router, and let's console log this. So let's go back to users. Let's refresh. Did I save that? Okay, I did not. Okay, so you see we have the props and its extra item. So this is how if you have some global props you want to pass to all your children or something, you can do that from the routing. So this is all about today's video. You saw how we can do users, how we can use params here, how we can get the value of params and then utilize that. So I hope this video was useful, and probably this is my last video in React Router v6. If you have any question, feel free to comment it out. If you like the video, please share it with someone whom you think this video will be useful to. And if you have any requests, you can also comment it out. With that said, thanks for watching this video. Hit that like button, subscribe my channel to watch other similar contents. Bye bye.